Welcome, friends. Today we have with us one of the great influencers of this decade. We all know him as a man behind UTV or Walt Disney India or movie Uri the Surgical Strikes. He's undoubtedly one of the most successful businessmen in India, but more importantly, he's a great human being. Through his philanthropic activities, he's trying to help millions to come out of poverty. Undoubtedly, he is role model for large number of our youngsters. He is one and only Ronnie Screwvala. Ronnie ji, thanks for sparing time. Welcome to the discussion.
Thank you, Avi. Pleasure.
So, sir, as you are currently aware, large number of businesses, organizations, educational institutes are closed. And students, youngsters are sitting at home and they're really very getting anxious, worried about how this situation is going to unfold, whether their businesses, their education is going to take hit. And more importantly, majority of our youngsters are not very great at handling what we can say awkward situations or tough situations. They are afraid of failures. So my first obvious question to you, sir, is how often Ronnie fails and how he handles his failures.
Yeah, I think two things for that. Well, failure is almost a daily part and process, and I don't mean that facetiously. It's genuinely, really. You make decisions, you make hard calls. Some of them are bound to go wrong, and then you just move on from that. And I think if somebody were to ask me what's my worst failure, I always say it's yet to come. To your first point, in terms of just young students and learners, and then young professionals, and then young entrepreneurs, and I'd sort of break that up into three different baskets. But I think, firstly, I think we should be all clear that this work from home or lockdown, whatever it will have its new breed of definition. Yes, we've been locked down for 5 weeks. That might get relaxed. My personal sense is it may reappear. And I think what we all need to do is look at 2020 as a whole year and not about the next 1 or 2 weeks and always looking for breaking news as to can I go out, can I not go out. I don't think anyone needs permission to go out, so to speak. Of course, we do right now because there is a lockdown, but conceptually in your mind, you should be not looking at whether somebody's going to give you permission. It's how you're planning your next 1.5 years, given that the world is going through a it's not an event, it's going to be a long drawn out process. So the first thing I would tell everyone is take a much more a whole year or a 1.5 year view. When you recalibrate, what are the worst case situations that can happen in a year? The worst case is I write off 2020. If I've got admission in college in August and the university doesn't go, yes, I'm missing out on a year. If I'm a working professional, I may lose my job. I may not get an increment. I may not get a promotion. Yes, recalibrate yourself right now, because I think the more we calibrate and accept what could be the scenarios, not for the next 2 weeks and 3 weeks. Because if we keep calibrating for 2 to 3 weeks, we'll have very transient approaches. We won't be able to solve for anything. Our stress levels will be much higher, and we won't really be solving anything. And frankly, you don't have a choice, because the uncertainty that this event has brought about, or this uncertainty that this COVID-19 has brought about right now is unprecedented. No lead, and I think I would not envy any leader in this position because they have to take even harder calls. So don't look for that. Take your own calls. And take a 1 year view, take a 1.5 year view, is my sort of first remission. So coming to learners and students and the academic field, yes, I mean, I know since we have an edtech company in UpGrad that right now more and more colleges are evangelizing online learning. Now, the only caution I would say is online learning is not that the professor to which class you went to now can stand in front of you, you put a camera and he's lecturing to you and then your work is done. In fact, it's worse, because with that does not come the learning experience, does not come the appraisal systems, does not come the feedback, does not come the peer learning, does not come the participation. So actually, that will evolve as we go forward, as far as online is concerned. For working professionals, yes, this is definitely going to be a tough year. The uncertainty is just starting. I think we should be ready for more uncertainty. And a lot of people we talk about, this is the time also for you to figure out how to upskill yourself, or figure out some way in which my communication to people is we need to get in front of the line. How are you going to get in front of the line in 2020, 2021, when organizations will be reviewing their overall caliber of people, saying, look, the bottom 30% have to go. or I'm going to focus on the top 30%. And if you're middling somewhere, you could be in the let go, non-promoted, or not got an increment, or you could be in that top 30%, which when any recovery happens, they will get more sought after than ever before. So what are we doing today to not lose a single opportunity to really figure out, this is the time for me to figure out how do I get in the top 30 and the top 40. When people are looking at being entrepreneurs, firstly, I'd say, yes, look, this is a tough time right now to start off if you've been an entrepreneur. For whatever reason, you've been a fence sitter for so long, this is about the time to sit on the fence. I would never say sit on the fence, because you need to be clear why you're doing what you're doing and why you're getting excited about what you're getting excited about and why you're going to be able to do this entire initiative process. So to there and to everyone there, I would say very clearly that you are going to have bound to have failures. I think for us to sit down and think that the setbacks are not going to come, the problem I feel with the younger generation today is their sense of entitlement. And it's a false sense of entitlement. It's a false sense of entitlement. I repeat. I mean, the first entitlement is I need support. Second is I need financial support. Oh, I haven't got any financial support. And the third one is you're always listening to the media, listening to various feedback where somebody else is doing well. So you feel I need to ape that. Do we really have role models? I'm afraid we don't. We don't have too many role models. So we should be cautious about the role models that we adopt in today's day and age, because we're going down the wrong path. What they've been able to do to come to that role model, you don't know that full background. And what can happen to them as an outcome of that, you have no context. So you have to be who you have to be. To sit down and say that we're not going to have failures is actually the big part to me is lower your self-entitlement is my strong message to people. So I'll pause there.
And how you, sir, handle your own failures? What you do?
You know, I think two things. When I became an entrepreneur, it was a question of, once I decided to do that, I didn't look at it as, okay, I'm going to give this a try. So once you realize that you're going to do this and this is for life and it's not something you're going to give it a try, then the next thing is, what choice do I have? So every time you are set back on something, then you feel, what am I going to do? What is my choice? I have to get out of this situation. The question is, today in India, we don't talk about failure very openly. We don't evangelize it. We don't celebrate it in some manner or the other. Anywhere else and in the West, it's on the asset side of the balance sheet, not the liability side of the balance sheet. If the fact that you have done a lot of good work for 8 years, of which you did 4 startups, of which 2 failed, that's a good asset. Here, everyone looks at it, oh God, then I have to go back. Maybe the parental support and the family support in this country is also not forthcoming, because now you failed, now can you please, now better sense should prevail and go get a job. No, on the contrary, that experience that you got is something that should stand you in better stead. There'll be financial cycles. Not every time it's going to be that simple. You might feel, but I'm absolutely broke. So what's the point in Ronnie telling me at the end of the day that now get up and get out there and start something new? There'll be a time. But today, if you can start a business without external funding, you'll be a much stronger entrepreneur in the days to come.
So, sir, our listeners will be large number of students. And because currently there is a lot of buzz around startup, entrepreneurship, many times they are in dual minds that they should actually jump into entrepreneurship right away after completing their graduation or during studies, or they should take a couple of years of experience in some organization and then think of joining or starting their own venture. So what's your suggestion to these youngsters?
So I would say for those who have even got a thought that says, I feel the need for some experience before I jump into entrepreneurship, 100% then pick up that experience. Because if that's what you're feeling, you should. Second, logically speaking also, I think it's a very good step that if you're working, don't work in a very large organization. Because if you want to pick up 1 year of very large organization or 2 years of a consulting firm, and none of that is going to be relevant when you get out to start your own. So work in a medium or small company so that you can pick up, watch the vibes, but you know you're there for that 1 year, 2 years, to pick up work experience, to figure out what it needs to sit in a committee, what it needs to sit in a meeting room, come on work on time, discipline, rigor, and all the other stuff. Only the very super confident and the very super clear in that sense If they feel whatever it is, I don't think I'll need that. Whatever I want to learn, I will only learn on the job with me. If you're super clear and super confident, do that. But if there's even a slight inkling in your mind that I think I need it, chances are you definitely do.
So, sir, at what age you started your entrepreneurship and how many times you failed before actually hitting a jackpot?
Jackpot is a very subjective word, and I don't think that should be the end goal. I started pretty early. I started right after doing my BCom. So at that stage, I had this crossroad where either I had to go on for further studies or I needed to really take on and start my own entrepreneurship. And every bone in my body told me that. I'm not sure why, because my entire family are working professionals in their own sense. I've studied really deeply. So I think that was the trigger for me that I wanted to do something on my own. So that was first the realization. What I wanted to do came second. Now, most people think I have a great idea and then they hold on to that and think that's a good enough reason to start. Each one will have to do it. But for me, it was I wanted to do something on my own and I wanted to start something on my own. And I think the multiple failures that come along the line are not necessarily one. Sometimes it's because of lack of experience. So in the beginning years, you get a little bit more opportunistic, then maturity sets in. And then actually you can only grow and become mature based on your failures. I mean, there's absolutely no way. And I've seen enough people where if you've really had a phenomenal beginning for 1 year, the probability that for the next 5 years or 10 years of your life, you're going to be able to continue that success, unless you're to the manner born or born with a silver spoon in your mouth, is very low. Because that's what you do need. You do need the foundation. The foundation is not just support. The foundation is learning experience that brings about maturity, that allows you to attract colleagues and people. So I think my failures have been multiple, from being opportunistic because you're naive and not necessarily assessing the whole market, the product and whatever else, to sometimes you're a first generation entrepreneur. When I went there was no private equity, venture capital, angel or debt. So everything is about that month's positive cash flow. And so I would say at least 6 or 7 times in that first 7, 8 years of my career, one would be into bankruptcy or near bankruptcy, because finally if I didn't go bankrupt, it was near bankruptcy. Then you need a lot of tenacity. It allows you to pre-plan, recalibrate, pre-plan again, recalibrate. But that discipline, that maturity, that learning, and that cushion from failures, no other experience can give.
So, sir, when I look at your entrepreneurship journey, you started with, I think, investment in toothbrush company, or you started with that. Then you ventured into media. You did cable and those kind of things. And now you are into education. You have also invested in sports and those kind of companies. These are completely varied sectors, sir. So how you pick and choose these opportunities? And are you worried that you don't understand many of these sectors and you might actually end up losing your bets on that?
So 2 things. I'm a strong believer in serendipity, which means that some things happen in a confluence of situations. So, for most people, if you look at some of the strong ideas that most business people or most entrepreneurs have come about anywhere in the world, it's really been about a need that I've personally felt, or an example or an instance where I felt frustrated, or I felt the gap need for it, or I felt wow, and then you've gone about it. So that is called actually serendipity, which means you're in multiple places at multiple times, and suddenly you feel you're in the right place, the right time, and there's a business opportunity there. So I think, as I said right before this, I first wanted to be an entrepreneur. The fact that I started off in media and entertainment, first with cable TV and then later on with UTV, happened because of my background of my extracurricular activities, where I was doing television hosting and I was doing theater as a hobby. So there was creativity that came out. And at that stage, to channelize that, I thought, why not make it into a business? I think the toothbrush part came in much more in terms of a business opportunity where something was going at a cheap price. I thought, wow, there must be a market to do this. It could have turned really badly, but I really worked hard to make it right. Otherwise, it could have really gone south as far as that is concerned, because those are not fundamentally sound things, but it was an opportunity. And then you have to really work hard, because most people think once I've got it, this whole thing of entitlement, as I mentioned earlier. There's entitlement that I must need funding, and this entitlement means I have a great idea, so the whole world has to pause and listen to me. It doesn't work that way. Nobody pauses, nobody listens. Your idea is as good only as your execution. I think my new avatar when it's come to education, again, has been serendipity. I moved out of media and entertainment because a really phenomenal brand like Disney made an offer and we parted ways in the sense that they bought UTV and I moved out of media and entertainment. And so for me, I needed to size up what were the things were my core strengths and what is it that I really wanted to do for the next 10 to 15 years in terms of creating an impact and where I think my assets of understanding scale, building brands, creating credibility, and all of that would be brought to the table. And again, it was serendipity. Education is one of three things that I was looking at. And I think I met the right kind of people. I spent a lot of time on research. I spent a lot of time meeting a lot of people and just listening. And in my listening process of that 1 year is pretty much where I got the model of I should do something in education along with my co-founders.
So, sir, moving forward, in this post-COVID world, what kind of ideas or what kind of startups, according to you, will have more opportunity, and what kind of because the post-COVID world is going to be very different than today's world in terms of technology, in terms of how businesses are going to operate. So, in that scenario, what startups will really make huge businesses?
I think in India, the opportunities, the depth of the market is quite big, and we haven't really served much of it in any case. So I think there are incredible opportunities. They may not be in the most glamorous things. For most people, everyone veers to new economy ideas, and I would urge you to think of the non-glamorous. Non-glamorous only from a perspective of media, but they're actually quite glamorous when you do the impact. So edtech and healthcare, I think, are two things that are really, really, really the crying need. It will create impact. It'll create profitability, it'll create scale. I think the whole agri sector requires consolidation. It's just too fragmented. People don't look at agri with a sense of a business. It's more about a farmer. Whereas actually, for a food consuming country like India, I think it's a massive opportunity to use technology, to use management brains, and to be able to do that. Because you're serving, again, a very strong need, and the market is deep and it's humongous. But other than that, if you look at the kind of problems that India needs to solve, you will find that there are at least 5 or other 10 sectors in this space. When I look at our rural and what we're doing with Swadesh, there are no tertiary hospitals. There are no 30, 40, 50 bed hospitals. People most of the time travel 6 to 7 hours to get to a single medical aid. So healthcare in terms of technology or in terms of whatever you may want to do there. But if you look at the opportunities from water conservation to waste management, non-glamorous sectors, but huge in-depth that'll be there. And I think that's where we need entrepreneurs. If we need to create 200 million jobs over the next 10 years, it's not going to happen only by upskilling. Just because we upskill people doesn't mean there are enough jobs to be done there. It is entrepreneurship and the entrepreneurship wave. That means people cannot sit on the fences. They cannot worry about failure because it's going to happen and keep moving on from that. And then creating jobs from entrepreneurship is the only way forward for India.
Ronnie, as you rightly said, that future opportunities are going to be in non-glamorous sectors like farm, like energy, like education. So, sir, how you see future of education in India? Whether you think these educational institutes will survive the way they are currently in next 10 years?
So I would not even put it as an India map. I think it's about the world because the challenge on education is actually worldwide, not just in India. I think the brick and mortar establishments will survive, absolutely. There's a certain sense and an austerity and a respectfulness and a credibility that comes with them. And I think this is about coexisting. But even in an offline environment, you will need 30, 40, 50% of online and technology to play a role. Otherwise, you're going to be an anachronism, you're going to be a dinosaur, and it's not going to move forward. That's one. I think there's enough said on education today where almost everything in technology is, you've seen those classical cases where everyone has taken an automobile of 1928 and an automobile of 2020 and every other classification and a classroom of 1920 and a classroom of 2020, 100 years later. So that is quintessentially where we need massive disruption in the education space. But that requires not just curriculum, it requires approach of faculty. It has to have the buy-in of the board of directors of the companies, the educational institutions, the political will to a certain extent, the private sector, the employers, the companies, the professors and the faculty on their own, most important, parents and learners and students of them, that they need to understand that this is a viable option and a respectful option, that technology and learning is actually an augmented thing, that I don't need to be in a place. And I think today, almost everyone, because they're all homebound, are suddenly finding that I have to use technology. Even if I want to figure out what I need to cook for the family.
So you believe like as demonetization actually pushed digitization in economy, you believe that this COVID crisis is going to push digitization in education in big way?
I would hope so. I do want to caveat that, like, I have a very strong belief that you have to make it happen. It just doesn't happen on its own. It's not like because there was demonetization, X, Y, Z happened. There are smart entrepreneurs who made it happen. So we at UpGrad are very clear that we need to make it happen. It is an opportunity, because what is the opportunity that everyone, it's now surfaced. There's a sense of urgency. There was a sense of complacency and lethargy that has moved to urgency. There was a sense of lack of awareness that's moved to awareness. There was a lack, not such an open mind, it's led to a very open mind. Now we need to create this opportunity and show to people how this can be an augmented learning experience. So to me, the excitement is that one can be disruptive in the education space, not just in terms of technology, but the way in which we teach, the learning experience, your feedback, your grading, your peer pressure, how social distancing in education from technology can be completely something very different for everybody else. Because actually, your best learning are through case studies and through peer learning. And a technology platform allows you to do those two much better than anybody.
But sir, the problem with large number of education institutions as well as teachers or professors in these institutions is that they are worried that they will soon become irrelevant. Students will not go to them, or students will start not respect them with this online education. So they actively discourage online education to the students. So what you will suggest to these educational institutes and these teachers or professors so that they don't they are not against the system, but they actually facilitate the growth of this digital platforms?
So that's where I think COVID has played a role, where slowly they begin to realize, I don't have a choice. Now you can be afraid of it, but if you don't have a choice, and I think that's what everyone needs to, because if they believe that actually they can fortify or build a moat, there is no moat. There is no moat that says that this is the only way to go, and the more I say this is the only way to do it, everyone will do it. That moat is not there. It is a moat in their minds, and it has to evaporate. It has to go away. And I think that's the critical element, that now a realization has creeped in people that there is an absolute option and you have no choice, and I have to move in that direction. The minute they actually exercise that option and take that, they'll be quite exhilarated that, wow, this is a lovely world. I don't need to, I can do so much more, impact so many more students or learners than I did in my real world.
The world order, again, in post-COVID world is going to be very, very different. Considering our demographic dividend and the energy which we have, so how you think India can emerge on global stage in post-COVID world, sir?
I think there are sectors very long back. I think when the IT sector came in here, I think we created a global presence, right? I mean, our IT companies are bigger than the global ones. So that's when we've got ourselves in the map. Today, I think with the fourth industrial revolution happening, it's more about intellectual property, innovation, and intellectual property that we all need to focus on. So India cannot be more of a processing house. Manufacturing-wise, we're never going to be able to beat the Chinese in some form or the other, but we still need to create a manufacturing base.
But do you now think, sir, China to India, because pushing, giving a big package to of China, US is pushing industries to move out of China. So do you see opportunity for India here in India?
See, the opportunity in a business can only arise if there's maximum efficiency. Just because another country does not do well or people don't trust it does not mean necessarily there's going to be an opportunity. Because at the end of the day, it's business and it's economics. And in the business of economics, we need to produce high quality at the right price and at the largest volume. If we can beat those assumptions, yes. To me, the big opportunities are going to come through innovation and creativity, where we create and originate products, where I think a huge opportunity is going to be.
So let's conclude, sir, on this very optimistic, positive note. I sincerely hope that our students and youngsters will follow what you have said. So thanks for sparing time, sir. Thank you very much. Really.
Thank you. Thank you. Lovely. And I hope this is of use.
Thank you, sir.